An Israeli Jewish settler beat and kicked a nun that was walking in occupied East Jerusalem. A lot of you guys have already seen this viral footage, and Israel is playing it off as if it's a one-time incident. And we're seeing a lot of the pro-Israel mob in the comments saying, one person doesn't explain an entire community. But there's absolutely a phenomenon of consistent attacks against Christians by Israeli Jewish settlers in the occupied West Bank. So here's the footage, and he just straight up goes ahead and pushes her straight to the ground. It's actually just absolutely sick. And you know what's so scary too is her head was so close to the square, brick right here that was sticking out. And then he actually comes back. You'll see he starts running back, and then he kicks her some more. So obviously people are people are outraged, and this is coming again just after, I don't know how many, a few days after we saw a viral footage of an IDF soldier using a sledgehammer and smashing a statue of Jesus Christ. So I wish I could say this is a one-time thing, but then the same exact day, within 24 hours, this footage comes out also from occupied East Jerusalem of an Israeli settler here with his settler friend as well. And they're walking in front of a cathedral of St. James in occupied East Jerusalem. He spits at the cathedral. He spits at the church, gives his middle finger to the camera, then spits 3 more times. Ends up making a cross with his hand. So this is pretty disturbing as well. I'm just going to go ahead and play this clip really quick. Again, it's there's no audio to this, so you'll see him spit right here. He looks at the camera, recognizing that it's recorded, tells you to pay attention to him, and then does it 3 more times, and then gives the middle finger and uses his opposite hand to make, it looks like an inverted cross, honestly. And then they go off. So this is a repeated thing where we're seeing consistent attacks now by Israeli Jewish Zionists against Christians. And, this isn't surprising, but now we're starting to massively see a rise. Keep in mind that this was filmed, I believe, a couple years, was it about last year or so? An Israeli soldier filmed himself smashing a statue of St. George in southern Lebanon. And we'll have people like Mike Huckabee stating that there's definitely no attacks on Christians in occupied East Jerusalem, in Israel, in the occupied West Bank. Now, what's so funny, and I find this so interesting because it just goes to show how much the Anti-Defamation League and how much these Israeli censorship organizations work to basically bastardize the truth. If you go on X, and I've trashed these XAI summaries so much because they're really starting to irritate me. If you go on X and you look at the way these XAI generated summaries talk about the event that's happening, there's no way to know that it was an Israeli Jewish man who did this. Man arrested after violent attack on French nun. On April 29th, a 36-year-old man shoved the 38-year-old researcher to the ground and kicked her several times. A researcher? She's a nun. Now they're saying it's a 48-year-old researcher. It's a 48-year-old nun. Police were there and bystanders watched, and they stated possible racist motives. Leaders from Israel's foreign ministry condemned the unprovoked attack over rising hostility towards Christians in Jerusalem amid religious pluralism. There is no mention of the word Jewish anywhere in there. There's no mention of the fact that it was an Israeli. There's no mention of who committed it. And they stated that it was a 48-year-old researcher that was attacked. They don't even mention that it was a nun unless you look at the top headline here. Now, the reason I'm laughing at this so much is because if you'll ever see any sort of attack committed by a Palestinian or a Muslim or anything, the Anti-Defamation League, not only will X make sure you know that, they'll make sure you know that very, very well, but the Anti-Defamation League and all of these pro-Israel organizations, they'll make sure they have front headlines stating Muslim, Islamist, Islamo, jihadist, Nazi. sympathizer. They'll add all the buzzwords. They'll add all the buzzwords. But here, you can't know who did it. You can't know who did it. They'll try so hard. I was reading an article from Le Monde, I believe it's how you pronounce it. It's a French magazine or a French newspaper. And it was on the war between Russia and Ukraine. And I actually laughed when I read the article. I've never read... I should have had the article pulled up. I've never read an article that described Ukrainians in such a way. It said that since the war began, X number of Ukrainian civilian victims were X number of Ukrainian civilian victim casualties and X killed. It started off with the bigger number, and then it said killed, and it called them civilian victims. Never in the past 3 years have I ever heard the Palestinian population, have I ever in my life, I've never heard the phrase civilian victim. Never heard the phrase civilian victim. They made sure to toss the word victim in there. Never, ever in my entire life. Because if the perpetrator is an Israeli Jewish person, you'll never hear the person that's being attacked called a civilian or a victim. You just won't hear it. They won't even try to mention it. Initially, I thought that this was only happening to, Palestinian Muslims, but no, now I'm realizing it happens to anybody where the aggressor is an Israeli Jewish person. This is always the case. They won't tell you the full truth. They'll intentionally omit a lot of this. Because if they do tell you the truth, what you'll notice happen, and it works, it's crazy once you really start to recognize it, how fast the media machine works. Immediately, the first thing that's going to happen, the Anti-Defamation League, they get tipped off. I mean, keep in mind, Jonathan Greenblatt, he stated himself, they have social media API keys. They have everything. They're constantly monitoring the algorithm 24/7. If they see something they don't like, immediately they start a campaign to bastardize and just go ahead and rearrange and change these AI generated summaries. I mean, the thing is, this is what they do. This is kind of their thing. Why does it bother me so much? It's because that's how they brainwash the majority of the population, because most people are lazy. I don't want to say lazy. Most people are just busy with their lives, and they read a headline and they just take it at face value. And even if they know they shouldn't believe everything they read in the media, when they see it at face value, subconsciously they're still absorbing that regardless, and that does affect them. So here, when they see this and you realize man arrested after violent attack on French nun near Jerusalem, you have no idea who it could be. And most likely your brain's going to be like, oh, it must be an Arab, must be a Muslim, must be one of those people. Nothing. Doesn't tell you anything at all. So this is just the way the media goes ahead and kind of warps all of these situations. And keep in mind, here's a photo of the actual, of just like, her injuries. Carrie Pregine Bowler, who I've previously interviewed on this channel before, she stated hate attack. A Catholic nun was violently assaulted this morning in Jerusalem by Israeli settlers. The attack occurred near the tomb of King David and has been charged as racially motivated. Israel hates Christianity. And I've showed you guys a lot of footage at this. I mean, here's a video of an Israeli child spitting at her face. They really, I mean, you can't generalize and say that an entire population, but there is definitely a subculture there of hating Christians. Absolutely. And I think about this a lot. Why is this? Well, I'm sure that, and the thing is, I want to say it's because that they've had their own history with Christians when they were in Europe for so many years, but that's only a subsect of Israelis, specifically Ashkenazi Jews. But Mizrahi Jews, they were in the Middle East, so they didn't experience the same sort of thing against Christianity that maybe European Jewish people have. They just simply they haven't, and yet they still do a lot of this spitting as well. And especially in the occupied West Bank, I talked to you guys about the Yitzhar settlement, which is right next to my family's village. I mean, these people, they think that Palestinians are cockroaches. Absolutely. They just think they're straight up like bugs. They treat them like bugs too. They think they're vermin. And then you see a lot of the brainwashing that's happening at these yeshivas in the occupied West Bank. We have to have an honest conversation about this. These yeshivas that are preaching Khanism, which is, it's an outlawed form of radical extremist Judaism. They're taught that anybody that is a threat to Israel is basically worthy of being murdered as long as they're not Jewish. This is what some of these extremist yeshivas are taught. Again, am I saying everybody? Absolutely not. But there is a subculture there that is doing this, and it's growing, and it's very, very growing, and that sort of energy is pestering in this society. And I think we're going to unfortunately keep seeing more of this. And then, of course, in response, what did we end up seeing on social media just yesterday? Netanyahu, he posted a video, and of course, the IDF soldiers their faces were blurred out. Because you can't see who's going around killing innocent children and women. So their faces were blurred out, and they were Israeli Christian soldiers, Israeli Christian IDF soldiers, and he was, talking about how grateful he is for them and X, Y, and Z. This is kind of what they do. They try to do some sort of PR to save face. Now, what I expect going forward is you're going to hear another, there's going to be a big false flag coming out on the news or something. They're going to do something to figure out a way to flip it and make sure that Christians start hating Muslims a lot more again. Like this is always what they love to do. Well, you should see how they treat Muslims. Then they're going to go ahead and fabricate some scenario to reorient the hate back towards the Arabs, because that's the best thing that's the best thing to benefit Israel is when the Christian world hates Arabs. I think people are starting to catch on pretty obviously now, but it's still happening. They're still doing it, and they're still getting away with it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up as well. Also, if you haven't yet and you want to see more of my videos, and if you see people in the comments using fun emojis like the John F. Kennedy emoji or the censored emoji or the kafia or Palestine flag or all of those other emojis, you can use those emojis in my comments as well if you click join as a member. So if you click the join button below next to the subscribe button, you can join as a member, which is separate from subscribing, and you'll get to use all of those fun emojis and also see more videos from me that you won't find anywhere else. So I hope you guys found this video interesting, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Take care and have a great day. Bye, everybody.